Daxter is a platformer for the PSP, and in Daxter, you control a little Otzel, which is the name of the creature, Daxter, from the Jak and Daxter franchise. So this is a character taken from a previous series of games, and instead of being Jak and Daxter, now it's just Daxter, and you're on a mission all by your own to actually rescue Jak. The game takes place during the period of time leading up to the events of Jak 2. It fills in some missing backstory leading up right to Jak 2 when you find out that Jak's been in prison, and you're controlling Daxter and finding out what exactly he was doing while Jak was in prison. Even though Daxter is on the PSP and not on the PS2, there's almost no difference, both in terms of the way that it looks and the way that it feels. It looks just like the PS2 game, and it feels like the PS2 game. It really, they do just an excellent job of taking the PS2 game, putting it on the PSP, and making it feel really good and really tight. When you start the game as Daxter, you take a job at an extermination company. You know, there's no secret that there are bugs taking over the city. There's sort of a reason for it. So you're kind of starting off as an exterminator, and then you find out that there's sort of a reason behind it. And so you go off on all these missions, and you go to all these different locations, and there's just completely different things to do. The main thing that you want to do is sort of follow a certain objective. Every level has one main objective that you're going to do. So it's either to kill a certain number of enemies, to destroy a certain number of objects, to collect a certain number of things. The sort of ancillary objectives are twofold. One would be to pick up precursor orbs, which are objects that you'll be familiar with if you played any of the previous Jak games. The other is to collect these metal gems that come off of enemies. And basically every level has a certain number of both. So once you've collected all of the things on that level, then you will have effectively completed that level entirely. And there's a real motivation to do it, because one of the great things about Daxter is that there's just all this really cool unlockable stuff. As you get more and more of the stuff in the game, you keep playing back through the levels, and you keep getting precursor orbs and everything, and as you get further completion, you'll find a lot of other cool stuff. So while the game is a little bit on the short side, it's not, you know, terribly long. It's probably 6 to 8 hour adventure. You know, there's reason and motivation to keep going back through and playing through just to see what else there is to unlock. There's also a multiplayer aspect, which doesn't have a lot of bearing on the game, but it's just kind of fun. As you play through, you'll also find all these little cages strewn throughout the level, and you'll find little potions. And what that does is it helps you in bug combat. As you find cages, you get bugs. And as you find potions, you can use them to upgrade your bugs. And it's a rock, paper, scissors type of gameplay where basically you're going to just throw down a move. It's either spit, trap, or claw, and see which one of you comes out ahead. One of the immediately obvious things about Daxter is that the game is gorgeous. It's absolutely the best looking game on the PSP to date. It is gorgeous. This is going to show you exactly how beautiful a PSP game can look. The sound is also totally brilliant. You might not even notice it right away, you just sort of get immersed into it, but there are definitely moments in there where you just sort of realize how much detail went into the sound. So while there's a lot of different music playing on, there's also those different sound effects and varied sound effects that sort of exactly correlate to what you're doing. The other thing that's a little shaky about the game are the controls and the camera, and they're a little difficult to get into right away, so you might get thrown off right away. You will find as you play through that you get completely accustomed to it, and I think you'll realize that in the end of it all, it couldn't have been done any better. But there definitely is some problem, specifically because it's a platformer, and platformer have notoriously had camera problems. There's always sort of this big deal with 3D platformers. Daxter is the best game right now on the PSP. It is a gorgeous looking game, great sounding, has a wonderful balance between combat and platforming. It's not the longest game in the world, but you'll definitely find reason to keep playing back through, collecting more objects, finding all the cool hidden unlockables. And even people who aren't into platformers will probably really enjoy Daxter because the game just translates so well, and it's done with such a great execution that pretty much anyone's going to enjoy it. If you have a PSP, you should have Daxter.
Super!